The hand landed on her waist. Her whole body snapped forward before her mind caught up. She smiled when she turned. She buttoned her sleeves high at the wrist. In August. In a warm kitchen. Under the fabric, the bruise had gone yellow-green. Her name is Jasmine O'Donnell. She is a Black American forensic auditor, hired to keep a Mafia empire's charities honest. Her husband is Kang Hyun-woo, president of the Kangsong Group. They call him the Black Crane. A black crane stretches its neck across his throat, inked into the skin above his charcoal collar. He wears a watch worth more than the shelters he funds. She wears long sleeves to hide what someone left on her arm. Days before, her spreadsheet would not close cleanly. Guards billed at sites that did not exist. One address ran out at a river. The money passed through a shell and landed in accounts signed by a name from Sunday dinners. Then a message came. The chairman requests you, come alone. She went. Inside that old stone house, no husband waited. Only men who folded their hands and reached for her wrists. 6 words followed her home. We have the chairman's authorization. Her body already believed them, but she could not tell if the signature was real. Before starting the story, comment down below where you are watching from and what time it is there. If stories of karma, love, and hidden truths move you, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a member and help our channel. The hand landed on her waist, and Jasmine's whole body snapped forward before her mind caught up. She grabbed the edge of the marble counter. A glass tipped, rolled, held. Hyun-woo stood behind her, still in his coat, 4 days of travel on him, and his palm frozen where it had touched her. You scared me, she said. She smiled when she turned. She made the smile reach all the way you smile at a man you have loved for 6 years. I called from the airport, he said. I had music on. He studied her the way he studied a contract, looking for the line that didn't belong. His thumb still remembered the flinch. Jasmine busied her hands with the glass, set it upright, wiped water that wasn't there. You're wearing sleeves, he said. The blouse buttoned high at the wrist. In August. In a kitchen warm from the oven. I've been cold, she said. That night, she lay on the far side of the bed, turned toward the window, spine curved away from him. His breathing slowed into sleep. Hers didn't. Under the fabric, along her forearm, the bruise had gone the yellow-green of old fruit. The one over her ribs still asked a question every time she breathed. She counted backward. 4 days. 4 days ago, she had a name, a badge on a lanyard, and a spreadsheet that wouldn't close cleanly. Jasmine O'Donnell, forensic auditor, hired to keep the Kangsong Group's social programs honest. The shelters, the youth centers, the clinics the family funded to prove it had a soul. She was good at finding the seam where clean money went dirty. She found it that afternoon. Mirion Security Consulting. Invoices for guards at 14 sites. She pulled the site list because a number felt too round. Site 3 was a lot, with weeds through the fence. Site 7 was a closed clothing store. Site 11 did not exist. The address ran out at a river. She called the numbers on the contracts. 2 rang forever. 1 was a noodle shop. The manager had never heard of Mirion and asked if she wanted delivery. Money left the Youth Center Fund, passed through Mirion, and landed in 3 accounts. She traced 2 before the building emptied around her. The signatory on both was a name she knew from Sunday dinners. Kang Do-yeon, Hyun-woo's cousin, who poured her wine and asked about her mother. She saved everything. She closed the laptop. Her hands were steady, which surprised her. The message came at 6:40. It carried the office header, the internal code, the clipped voice she'd seen on 100 forwards. Chairman requests you at the Hwasong property tonight. Discretion. Come alone. She read it twice. Hyun-woo was abroad, but the office moved without him. That was normal. The Hwaseong house was old Kang land, a place he'd taken her once, and called the beginning of the family. She went. The gate was open. No cars in the drive that belonged to anyone she knew. The windows were dark except one, low and gold on the ground floor. She parked, took her bag, took the laptop out of habit. Gravel under her heels was very loud. Inside, the room smelled of dust and cold stone. No Hyunwoo, no aide, no tea, no meeting. Park Sung-jin rose from a chair by the wall. She knew him the way you know weather. 20 years with the family, keys to every door, cameras in his pocket. He'd carried Hyunwoo's father's coffin. He did not smile now. Two men stood behind him, hands folded, the kind of men who stand and wait. "You came fast," Sung-jin said. "I was told the chairman. How much did you find?" The question had no wrapping on it. Jasmine's grip tightened on the strap. "I don't understand." "Miriam," he said. "How much?" She measured the distance to the door. 9 steps, maybe 10. And one of the men had already drifted to stand in it. Her mouth went dry. "Whatever this is, I'll talk to Hyunwoo directly." "The chairman knows." Sung-jin lifted a folded sheet from the table and opened it toward her. Unhurried, the way you show a child something to calm it. An authorization, a real administrative code, the format she filed under herself. At the bottom, Hyunwoo's digital signature, the same seal that closed his contracts. The floor tilted a half-inch. "That's not," she stepped back. "I'm leaving." She turned for the door. The second man filled it. "The notebook," Seong-jin said. "And the bag." She held them to her chest. A hand closed on her wrist. Not a punch, not a blow, just a grip that meant to take. And its indifference was worse than rage. She twisted. Her heel caught. Her side struck the table's edge, and the breath left her in one sound. Another hand found her other wrist. She wrenched, tore loose, and her shoulder hit the wall. They took the bag. They did not know the laptop had already spoken, that the moment she'd closed it in the office, it pushed a copy to an account no one in this room had ever heard of, a quiet twin of everything sitting on a server across the city. They let her keep her body. That, she would understand later, was the whole design. Song-jin folded the paper again, precise at the creases, and slid it into his jacket. "You were never here," he said. "The chairman thanks you for your discretion." She drove home with both hands shaking on the wheel and her ribs counting every turn. She could not tell if the signature was real. That was the thing that closed her throat. If Park Seong-jin had forged it, she was in danger. If he had not, she had married the danger, and slept beside it, and let it reach for her waist in the dark. 6 words kept circling, calm and certain, and impossible to disprove. "We have the chairman's authorization." Her body already believed them. The coffee was already poured when Hyunwoo came down. Jasmine slid the cup across the counter to him, the way she always had, and he took it with a nod that carried a whole marriage inside it. He drank. She asked about the shipment out of Busan. He answered. For 3 minutes they were the couple the housekeeper still believed in. Then he set the cup down and put his hand on her arm. She went stone. Not a flinch anyone would name, just a stillness that arrived a half-second too fast, muscle bracing against a touch that should have been nothing. He felt it. He always felt it now. He lifted his hand and pretended he had only meant to reach past her for the sugar. "You're up early," he said. "I have Han today." He nodded again, slower. The ring caught the light on her finger. She was still wearing it. That was the part he couldn't solve. A woman who wanted out took the ring off first. Dr. Han So-yeon closed the office blinds herself. "Lift your arm as far as it goes." Jasmine lifted it to shoulder height and stopped, breath catching. Seo-yeon pressed 2 fingers along the ribs and watched the wince travel up her friend's jaw. She moved the camera closer. Photographed the yellow-green blooming under the sleeve. Photographed the older one beneath it, the one already fading to the color of a bruise that had a history. "This is the second set," So-yeon said. "I know. Why haven't you told your husband?" Jasmine pulled the sleeve down over the marks. "I'm trying to figure out if he's still the person I can tell." Seoyeon stopped writing. She wanted to argue. She looked at the photographs on the screen instead and kept her mouth shut, because a doctor learns which silences are load-bearing. That evening, Unja set the table for two and stayed near the kitchen door out of old habit. Jasmine reached across for a plate on the high shelf. Her arm went up, then down fast, a small sound leaving her before she could swallow it. Her other hand pressed to her side. Yoonja was there in 3 steps. "Madam, are you hurt?" "I'm fine." People who are fine don't rehearse that answer. Jasmine met the old woman's eyes and found something worse than suspicion there. Worry, the kind that would talk. She smiled the smile she kept for occasions. "I twisted it in the garden. Nothing." Yoonja carried the plates to the table and said no more, but she watched the sleeves after that. She watched how the madam turned her body when someone came close, always presenting a shoulder, never a front. Hyun-woo watched too, from the other side of a wall he couldn't name. He tried again the night after. She was at the window and he came up behind her the old way, arms circling her waist, chin at her hair. Her spine locked. Her hands rose to his forearms, not to hold them, to lift them off. Gentle, final. She turned it into a stretch, a yawn, a nothing. He let go and stood there in the cold shape where she had just been. He poured 2 drinks and handed her one, and they talked about his cousin's numbers on the Mirion accounts, and she asked the right questions, and he answered, and none of it touched the thing standing between them in the room. Later, in the dark, he said it. "Do you still want to be married to me?" The sheets shifted. "Why would you ask me that?" "Because I don't remember the last time you let me touch you." A long quiet. He could hear her deciding. "I'm tired." She rose, took her pillow, and the door closed soft behind her. He lay listening to the house. Somewhere in it, his wife was awake and choosing a different room, and he had built an entire empire on reading people, and he could not read the woman he loved. He decided it was over. He decided she had stopped, the way people stopped, quietly, months before they admitted it. That belief cost him 3 days of the same wrong grief. Then came the dinner. The whole family at the long table, Do-yoon pouring wine and asking Jasmine about her audit of the shipping ledgers, all courtesy, all warmth. Haejin arrived late and loud and dropped into the chair beside Jasmine mid-story, and to punctuate a joke she laid her hand flat on Jasmine's forearm and squeezed. Jasmine recoiled. It was fast and total, a full-body flinch, breath sucked between her teeth, and her hand shot to yank the sleeve down over what the squeeze had pressed. She recovered in a second, laughing, saying she was ticklish, refilling Hyacin's glass. But Hyun-woo had been looking straight at her. He saw the flinch, he saw the sleeve, he saw the difference between a woman who didn't want to be touched and a woman who couldn't bear to be. Those were not the same animal, and he had spent 3 days hunting the wrong one. He said nothing at the table. He waited until the guests were gone and the house was theirs. Her bag sat on the hall chair. He opened it, not proud of it, doing it anyway, and his fingers closed on a small tube. Analgesic ointment, half spent. She came around the corner and saw it in his hand. "Are you hurt?" "It's nothing." "Where?" "Hyun-woo." "Where are you hurt?" "I said I'm fine." He looked at the tube. He looked at the long sleeves she'd started wearing in summer, at the plate she wouldn't reach for, at the arm she guarded from her own husband. Every piece he'd read as coldness rearranged itself into something with a shape. She was hiding a body, and she was hiding it from him. He set the ointment on the table between them, slow, like a card being turned. "Then I'll find out myself." The house had gone quiet the way it did after midnight, when the staff slept and the hallways forgot they were watched. Jasmine waited until Hyun-woo's breathing settled into the slow rhythm of a man asleep. Then she slid off the bed and crossed to the closet. She left the light low. She worked the top button, then the next. Careful, the fabric peeling away from skin that no longer wanted to be touched. The blouse came off her shoulders. In the narrow mirror, she caught the color of what the past week had made. The deep marks near her collarbone gone purple at the center, the edges bleeding into a sick yellow. Her forearms carried the same map. The wrists were the worst. She turned her arm and watched the ring of it catch the light. A drawer opened somewhere behind her. She hadn't heard him move. Hyunwoo stood at the doorway of the closet, one hand still on the dresser where his phone charged. He wasn't looking for it anymore. She was turned 3/4 from him, and he could see all of it, the shoulder, the ribs, the arms, the wrists. He went still in a way she had never seen him go still. Jasmine. She closed her eyes. She reached for the blouse and it slipped through her fingers. He took a step. She flinched back into the corner, her spine finding the shelf. Don't. He stopped. Instantly. His hand dropped to his side. For a long moment, neither of them said anything. The overhead bulb hummed. She kept her arms crossed over herself, not out of shyness now, but because covering was the only control she had left in the room. Who did this? She didn't answer. She looked at the floor, at the seam where the carpet met the closet wall, and she counted it because counting was easier than his face. Jasmine, who did this to you? The words came out flat, because flat was all she could manage. Your men. What? Your security team. No. He said it fast, the way a man says the thing he needs to be true. No. They said you authorized it. The color left him. She watched it go. Not the flush of a man building toward anger. The opposite, the draining. The pail that comes when the ground you were standing on turns out to be air. He put his hand back on the dresser like he needed it. She had seen him command a room with a lowered voice. She had seen him make older, harder men look at their shoes. She had never seen him look like this, and some cruel part of her filed it away, because it was the first honest thing his body had told her in a week. Say that again, he said. She didn't. She bent, slowly, and picked up the blouse and put it back on, button by button, hiding the map before he could finish reading it. He watched her do it and made no move to stop her, and that too she noticed. What she gave him instead was the memory, in the fewest words she owned. 2 men in the East Wing. Her back against the wall. The paper one of them held up close to her face so she could read it in the dim light. His letterhead, the crane at the top, and at the bottom the signature. His signature. The loops she had seen 1,000 times on cards and contracts, and the note he'd left on her pillow their first married morning. They showed me your name, she said. Your hand. I know your hand. That isn't my signature. It looked exactly like it. And that was the wound. The one under the bruises. The one that would not change color and fade. Not that men had held her down, that the order had sounded like him, that when they'd said his name, she had believed it, because he had spent 3 years teaching her that decisions arrived without her, made in rooms she wasn't allowed into, and she had learned the lesson well enough to accept this one too. I need you to understand something, he started. Not tonight. He closed his mouth. She stepped past him, giving the doorway a wide berth, and pulled her pillow from the bed. He turned to follow her with his eyes. Where are you going? The blue room. Down the hall. Jasmine, I'm going to sleep with a door I can lock. She said it without heat. It was not a punishment. It was arithmetic. That's the condition. For what? For me staying in this house while you find out. He absorbed that. A man used to setting terms, receiving one. What do you need from me? She held the pillow against the marks he could no longer see. There was more she could have said. There was a folder, tucked where he would never look, and a name in it she wasn't ready to spend, and Dr. Hahn's careful photographs from the clinic with the date stamped in the corner. She kept all of it behind her teeth. Rock bottom had taught her one thing, an easier life never had. You do not hand over your last card because the man across the table looks like he's hurting too. Time, she said. He nodded once. He did not reach for her. He had learned that much in the last 5 minutes. She walked down the hall, and the lock turned over with a small final sound, and on the other side of it, Hyun-woo stood alone, in a bedroom that was still his, in a marriage that was still, on paper, whole. His phone lit up on the dresser and he didn't look at it. He was staring at the door his wife had just closed, running one question through his head that he could not answer. Somebody had used his signature. Somebody who knew it well enough to forge it, and knew him well enough to guess she would believe it. Which meant the man he needed to find was already inside his house. Jasmine laid the photograph on the table between them and slid it forward with one finger. Hyun-woo looked at it the way a man looks at his own handwriting, on a note he never wrote. The admin code in the corner was real. He had issued it himself, years ago, to 3 people. The signature beneath it was not his. "I never authorized anyone to touch you," he said. "Then someone knew exactly what I would believe you were capable of authorizing." He went still. She watched him understand it. Every time he had made a call without her, every door he had closed while she waited on the other side, had taught her the shape of a lie she could not tell from the truth. "Give me a name," he said. His hand moved toward his phone. "No, Jasmine. If you move now, whoever is behind him disappears." She put her palm flat over the phone. "You get one man, you lose the rest." He put his hands on my wife. His men did. Because of him. Because your system let him. She did not raise her voice. "Don't just punish the man, Hyun-woo. Fix the reason he could do it." They worked through the night at the long table, her laptop open, his people locked outside the door. She pulled the access logs first. Park Sung-jin's credentials lit up beside every Mirion transfer, the timing clean, the pattern obvious once you knew to look. Then she found the second signature underneath his. It surfaced again and again, on the nights the money moved, on the mornings the paperwork was filed. Kang Do-yoon. She turned the screen toward him. He read the name twice. Do-yoon had not been skimming, he had been building a fire. Every missing document, every suspicious wire, every night his cousin's wife spent alone in a room that locked from outside, all of it was fuel. The board would meet and he would hand them a story. She removed confidential files. She copied the group's records. She moved money no one could trace. And the man who let her do it, who married a stranger and gave her the keys, had lost control of his own house. If Hyun-woo defended her, he looked compromised. If he abandoned her, the marriage was ash. Either road led to the same place, and Do-yoon stood at the end of both. His one mistake was her. He had counted the wife as a liability. He had not counted the auditor. "He thinks the files are gone," Jasmine said, "so we let him think it." They said nothing to anyone. Do-yoon kept moving money. Every transfer wrote itself into her backup, one clean line at a time. 3 days later, Hyun-woo met Seong-jin alone. He set the forged authorization on the table and pushed it across, the same way she had pushed it across to him. "Did you authorize men to restrain my wife?" "Chairman," she was interfering. "That's not what I asked." The older man's jaw worked. No answer came. Hyun-woo did not reach for him. He slid a second sheet forward instead. Access revoked. A third. Assets frozen. The ones tied to the scheme. 2 roads, he said. You testify against Do-yoon, or you carry this alone. Seong-jin looked at the door as though someone might come through it and save him. No one did. He talked. The board convened on a gray afternoon, and Do-yoon spoke first. He called for a vote to limit the chairman's powers. He said the group was unstable. He said a name, Jasmine, and let it hang. He put images on the screen, a woman moving through internal files. He said a man who could not govern his own house could not govern theirs. He laid the forged authorization before them like a closing argument. Ha Hyun-woo sat with his hands folded. Continue. The door opened. Jasmine came in with no guards, no theater, a single folder under her arm. She crossed to the table and set the documents down, one page beside the next, until the surface was covered. Mirion payments to addresses that did not exist. Transfers with no counterparty. Access logs, authorizations no one had granted. Every thread ran back to one hand, and the hand was Do-yoon's. She placed Sung-jin's testimony last. Then she set down the proof that broke him. The authorization used to seize her had been created inside Kangsung headquarters, from a terminal that needed a body in the building. On that date, Hyun-woo had been outside Korea. He could not have made it. Someone standing in the tower had. Do-yoon's face lost its shape. He turned to her. She's not Kang. She's an outsider. Jasmine said nothing. Hyun-woo stood. She is my wife. That doesn't make her Kang. No, what she did for this family makes the name worth carrying. The vote went the other way. Do-yoon lost his posts before he left the room. His accounts froze that evening. Mirion opened under investigation, and the men who had smiled at him a week before stopped answering his calls. Jasmine did not come home and become the woman she had been. She asked for time. For weeks, she slept in the other room, and he did not argue, did not name a date, did not reach for her in the hall. One night, she was on the sofa when he passed. She took his hand. You can stay. The first time she let him hold her, he asked, Are you sure? Yes. He rebuilt the system after that. No single signature could ever move against family again. Every access logged, every log audited by someone he could not command. Jasmine took a seat on an outside board overseeing the social projects, not as his wife, but as the woman who found the fraud the rest of them missed. That night, she sat at the mirror, drawing the comb through her hair, and watched him cross behind her. He stopped. For months, he had stopped. Why did you stop? She said, touching me when you walk past. He was quiet. I wanted you to decide when it felt like yours again. She turned. She took his hand and set it on her waist. It does now. He closed his eyes. Then he held her, the way a man holds what he learned he could never command. Trust was never his to give. It was only ever hers to return. If this story moved you, stop for a moment and reflect. Have you ever flinched at the touch of someone you still love and feared the name that authorized the harm? Tell us your experiences and feelings in the comments. We read them all. And if you believe in stories about trust, control, and dignity, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a part of our community and help the channel.